to exonerate Lewis Hamilton from this. I think the Mercedes car seems to be the problem, and they need to work on it.
And someone's also saying that if Lewis Hamilton is given this Red Bull car, that probably no one might see his back, and all of that. But let's keep our fingers crossed and see how the remaining 5 races will pan out. Will Lewis Hamilton be able to win, any of these 5 races? We'll keep our fingers crossed on that. But taking Oscar Piastri of McLaren took second, Lando Norris of McLaren took third. The McLaren guys taking up the second and third position. And George Russell of Mercedes, of course, took up the 4th position. Charles Leclerc taking up 5th position. Fernando Alonso took up 6th position. Esteban Ocon took up the 7th position. Valtteri Bottas took the 8th position. Zhou Guanyu of Alfa Romeo took the 9th position. Checo Perez of Red Bull took the 10th position in that particular one. Let's talk about tennis this evening on the show as what number 2 Iga Swiatek claimed her 5th title for the year with victory over Ludmila Samsonova in the China Open final. The Pole added to her titles in Doha, Stuttgart, Garros, and Warsaw with a 6-2, 6-2 victory in Beijing. Swiatek, who is 32 years, did not face a break point in either set as Russia world number 22, Samsonova, struggled to cope for the 16th career title. Swiatek also ended a U.S. Open champion Coco Gauff's 16-match winning streak in the semi-final. Now, despite the defeat to Samsonova weeks during which she beat 5th seed Elena Rybakina, 12th seed Petra Kvitova, and 13th seed Jelena Ostapenko, means that she will return to the world top 20 rankings when it comes to the WTA. Impressive one, of course, in that particular one. But Michael Iga Swiatek, of course, adding another WTA title to her, cabinet at this point in time.
He's setting the pace very clear out there, and for me, I think it's a very big and a massive one for her to be able to stay on the stage for quite a long time. She has been able to hold her own, even when you think that there are other young tennis players out there who are also hungry for 1 or 2 titles out there, but she has been able to master her craft, and whenever you see her on the court, she's ready to give her best, and that is why we've seen her come out with such a victory in the weekend. And for me, I'm pretty happy for her. And also, the likes of Coco Gauff, whenever it matters most, when you think that Coco Gauff will come to the party, she just fizzled out. And I'm quite worried that this mess success syndrome, I've been haunting Coco Gauff. I don't know when she's going to break these jinx, but for Iga,
but she just won a Grand Slam.
She just won after how many years? After how many trials? So, but for me, I think Iga Swiatek has been able to carve a niche for herself, and it's a great one. It's a great one, honestly.
Do you see her taking back world number 1 spot anytime soon from Arina Sabalenka?
Definitely, I would say yes to that because she's doing great things. And if she continues with this momentum, I don't see anything stopping her from taking the number 1 spot in the nearest future.
In the Shanghai Masters, of course, coming in at the moment, Carlos Alcaraz has beaten Dan Evans, of course, to get to the round of 16. Was really an impressive encounter, and we saw Alcaraz, of course, getting past Dan Evans in that one. Alcaraz not relenting. This particular, winning this particular ATP tournament, talking about the Shanghai Masters, will help him close the gap when it comes to the rankings between him and Novak Djokovic. So the Shanghai Masters means a lot for Carlos Alcaraz at the moment.
Definitely, it's a winning for him, and I think it's a battle of supremacy between the number 1 position and the 2nd position. And for me, I strongly believe that the time of this is his time, I want to say, and this is a golden generation, and we hope to see Carlos Alcaraz continue in this fine form that we've seen him of late. If he continue, I think he's going to assume the number 1 position. It's just a question of time, because he's still young, still vibrant, and still ready to give all his best at it. So I strongly believe that it's just a matter of time he's going to assume that number 1 position.
All right, at this point, we'll take a short break, and we'll come back from this break or dive straight into the beautiful world of football. A whole lot to talk about in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Please stay with us. welcome back to Steve Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, Emmanuel Micah is here, and we're bringing you the latest revolving around the world of sports down here on Atlantic Television Network. Let's talk about the Nigerian Premier Football League. As we saw 10 games, of course, we have played across different centers. We saw a total of 9 home wins, 9 clean sheets, and 1 draw, and a total of 18 goals were registered in different centers in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Impressive one in March Day 2 of the Nigerian Premier Football League. Michael, what do you make of the statistics in March Day 2?
It's an impressive one, you say, but I want to differ from that. I think for me it's not impressive to me because of playing 9 games and having 9 home wins. No even single away win. Just one away draw there. For me, it speaks volume of the fact that there is need for us to up our ante in our national leagues here, because other leagues, for example, in the English Premier League, a total of 27 goals were scored in the same 10 games played. They had 2 away wins and just 4 home wins. But in our NPFL, games here, 10 games played, 9 home wins, not even a single away win, and 9 clean sheets. So for me, I think it's very worrisome that. Worrisome in the sense that we are not having teams going away to pick a very vital point, maybe 3 points or get away. And they find it difficult also to score goals. 10 games played, 18 goals only scored in 10 games. And looking at, away goals that they were able to score there is very meager. But the home teams scores a majority of the goals, and it clearly tells you that there is deficiency. Looking at that vis-a-vis with that of English Premier League, we discover that even the away goals supersedes the home team goals that was scored in the English Premier League. I had to take time to do some statistics, to do some mathematics. I discovered that just this weekend Premier League goals, the teams that went away score more goals than the team that stayed at home. And it's different with the case when it has to do with the Nigerian Premier Football League. We discover that this must-win syndrome at home is still haunting us, and it will continue to haunt us unless we do the needful. Again, our strikers are not too clinical in front of goals. In our team here, example is Rivers United, who in their continental game just last 2 weeks before they went to yesterday game, they find it difficult to score goals, to get goals. They had 3 penalties. They missed 2 of those penalties, played until 80-something minutes before they had to score 2 late goals before they could, be able to even still remain in the continent. Yesterday, they could not even score any goal. They lost their games. So for me, I think from these statistics that we just seen, I want to say that I do not see any improvement. There is need for away teams to go and get vital points without being molested or harassed by home fans out there. This is what I hope to see. And I also hope to see our strikers, in our local league here, banging the goals, because by doing so, you are also elevating the status of the league, and also you are selling yourself to the world out there.
Interesting one. We hope to see, this level of improvements in the Nigerian Premier League, where, of course, away teams would definitely, get to win matches and as well take points back home. But let's talk about, one team that took a point back home was Sporting Lagos. They played away to Akwa United at the Kosla Pabio International Stadium. They played goalless, and they were able to take at least a point back home in that encounter.
Yeah, very vital point you want to say. And the Lagos SP, they are doing very good. This is a team that was just promoted into the top flight Nigerian Premier Football League, just last season, and they are doing great things. In their first game, they won 2-0 at home. This is their away game. Meeting a big team when you talk about the NPFL, talking about the Akwa United. And Akwa United playing at home at Gospel Akpabio International Stadium is a fortress for them. That you don't just go to, that Uyo Stadium and pick points easily. Akwa United must make sure that they get all 3 points. So for me, seeing a just newly promoted team going to a way to pick a very vital point against a big team such as Aqua United, it speaks volume of the fact that these teams, I mean, they are ready to contend for the title seriously. And away from not even see any goals. What interests me most is their pattern of play. I mean, these both teams, talking about Aqua United and Sporting Lagos, they play a champion football. They play the free, fluent football, an enticing football that you want to sit back and want to have a view. This is the kind of football that progressive football. This is what the world is heading into. When we are talking about, when you say that football has evolved, yeah, I think they've also evolved in their aspect of play. Bringing in the fan also, that entertainment aspect of it, trying to carry the fans along, I think is very, very important. And I see these two teams making a very strong statement, especially Sporting SP of Lagos. I think this is one team that we need to watch out for this season.
All right, Sporting Lagos, and let's keep our fingers, on them, and let's keep our fingers crossed. So also keep our eyes as well, on them, because they look very, very fantastic coming into the Nigerian Premier League. 4 points in 2 matches. You will say not a bad one at all for Sporting Lagos. Doma United beat Bayelsa United 2-0, and Bender Insurance were able to beat Shooting Stars 2-0. Kano Pillars beat Katsina United by 1-0. Gombe United beating Eyimba Football Club. Yes, they played away from home, but they lost 2-0. Talking about Eyimba.
Very disappointing.
Defending champion, they are.
Yes, and this is when you know that this league is not business as usual. I want to say you can see some of these big teams, losing very vital point. The likes of Rivers United, who is a former champion as well. The likes of Enyimba, big team as well. Aqua United, they are also struggling. All these big teams, they've lost all their first games. The likes of Rivers United, Aqua United lost their first game to Bendel Insurance as well. Enyimba losing their first game, it clearly tells you that it's not business as usual. And any team, as it stands this time around, might just run away with the trophy.
Lobby Stars were able to beat Sunshine Stars by 3-2. Quarry United beats tired Abia Warriors, players by 1-0. Niger Tornado, just like you heard from Michael, beat Rivers United by 1-0. Remo Stars beat Rangers International by 2-1. Rangers, of course, actually put up something very, very impressive in the match day 2 of the Nigerian Premier Football League. They actually went to that encounter with, a very, very good, outfits. We saw the players, on suits, even the coaches as well. I don't know what you make of the outfits of Rangers in that encounter against Remo Stars.
Well, I think it was very impressive, looking at their attire, the way they dressed, and when they landed in their bus, you want to say that this is not the conventional way when you see Nigerian teams, heading for away games. But for me, I think they are trying to package themselves in a way that it will be sellable to the people, to football fans, not only in Nigeria, but across the world. And for me, I think as a professional football club, these are some of the innovations that we need to add into our teams, into the teams of Nigerian Premier Football teams. And if we continue to do this, I think we are improving in all bounds, in all leaps and bounds. Because when we are talking about improvement, the onus does not only lies on the NPFL board or the organizers as it were. The teams as well, the clubs rather, they have their own role. They have their own major role to play. The media as well, they have their own role to play as well in order to contribute their own quota to see that, our league grew or developed to that point where we can also, beat our heart and sit back and see in every weekend instead of tuning your television station to watch either Serie A, La Liga or the EPL. You rather, go for, Nigerian Premier Football League because of the way we have packaged it, because of the improvement in different areas. So for me, I think it's a nice one.
Nice one, and unfortunately they lost 2-0 when they ended in that encounter. So Remo Stars, of course, rallying back to get that 3 points. Plateau United, they beat Heartland FC 1-0. Let's stay away from the Nigerian Premier Football League as we take a look at the Premier League, and we saw 10 games were played across different centers in the Premier League. 43 yellow cards were distributed across different centers, 27 goals, 2 red cards, We saw 4 home wins, 2 away wins, 3 score draw, and 1 goalless draw in the Premier League. And of course, was such an impressive weekend as well. But Michael, take a look at that statistics. We saw 43 yellow cards, being distributed across different centers in the Premier League over the weekend. What do you make of this high number of yellow cards over the weekend in the Premier League?
Yeah, for me, I think it's not encouraging, this high number of yellow cards. Don't forget, last week as well, we did a preview of some of these cards that were dished out. About 40-something yellow cards were also dished out last week. This time around, 43. I think it goes a long way to also justify the fact that the English Premier League is one of the highest competitive league in the world. And the pace, the glamour that they bring in, the excitement that comes with it, how fast the Premier League, the players, do their things out there, will also call or warrant for the issuance of 1 or 2 yellow cards by referees out there. And again, for you to be able to control the tempo of the game as a man behind the center stage, as a referee, you must also dish out this card when it is necessary. The question should be, these 43 yellow cards that the refs were able to dish out, are they justifiable? Of course, yes. You're looking at some of those controversies that led to 1 or 2 players having 2 or 3 or 5 yellow cards out there. We say yes, truly deserving, because if they don't give such yellow card, then tempers will be flared. Many things will go wrong. And again, 2 red cards, I think, is fair. But the goal aggregate, 10 games played, 27 goals scored, clearly tells you the quality of what the EPL brings in. So for me, I think it's deserving. This statistics is deserving of the Premier League.
All right, so talking about the results, Brighton and Hove Albion, they played 2-2 draw against Liverpool. West Ham United played 2-2 draw against Newcastle United. Also, Wolverhampton Wanderers, they played 1-1 draw against Aston Villa. Arsenal were able to beat Manchester City by 1 goal to the Michael. Of course, that was the biggest game, during the weekend. What do you make of that encounter, especially the victory for Arsenal? Do you think it was, a deserved victory for Arsenal?
Oh, well, deserved victory, of course, yes, because they ran away with a 3-point. But looking at the match in general, I think for me it was very boring. One of the boring games that I had to watch during the weekend, because I actually did not anticipate such a display from Manchester City and that of Arsenal. I had anticipated that is going to be one of the most exciting game that people will just sit while sitting. You are sitting on your toes because of 1 or 2 things that the game will bring in. But it was a very sloppy game for me. Watching that game, I wasn't too excited. Not until the tail end of the second half, when Mikel Arteta did 1 or 2 changes, and we saw that goal came in. Before, it looked as though we had a very big game. But in all, I think the victory for Arsenal is a good one for them. It's a morale booster, a spike in confidence for them. Over the past 8 years, if I'm not mistaken, Arsenal have not been able to, beat Manchester City. And in 12 games running, they have not been able to beat Manchester City. So for me, I think, beating Manchester City at the Community Shield, which was the curtain raiser, and again, beating them in the league, is a big statement to the world out there that indeed, possibly this time around, they might not bottle, the trophy to Manchester City. So it's a big, confidence, a spike in confidence, like I said earlier, for Mikel Arteta and his boys. But in all, I just want to say congratulations to them. But I still think it's not done and dusted. It's not yet time for Urus for Arsenal Football Club. They still need to push further and do the needful by laying their hand on the trophy after so many years.
Let's take a look at that Manchester City side. What do you think will be the problem now for City? I think for about 4 matches now, they've not gotten a favorable result. It's really unlike City, though we know that, yes, when seasons start like this, we don't see them starting the season on a very fine fashion. Yeah. But we saw them starting the season on a very good note. But all of a sudden, they are dropping, as it is. About 4 matches now, City has not been on the best of form. What do you think will be the reason?
Well, as a champion, a treble winner coming at this time around, there's a whole lot of things in their mind. And for me, I think Pep Guardiola is one manager who has been able to build this winning mentality in the head of his players out there, and taking part in all front, both in Europe and domestic. Also trying to defend this treble-winning trophy last season that he just won. It will be a very difficult one, and many teams are there, even a lesser team in code that you expect to beat, you expect Manchester City to beat. These are the teams that will come very strong because they want to also prove a point. Because you are the defending champion. You won a treble last season. So every team will be prepared playing against Manchester City this time around. And again, no thanks to injury to some of their key players. The likes of John Stone, who just came back from injury. They still have, Rodri, who was red carded. He's still serving his match ban. And again, one man who is very vital for Manchester City, talking about De Bruyne, is still not yet recovered from injury. And this... all of this contributed to the reason why I think Manchester City is gradually dropping from their form, because we know Manchester City as one team that whenever you play against them, just be rest assured that you are going to defend until the 90 minutes of the game. But that was quite different yesterday, where Arsenal dictated the pace. So I think the injury to a couple of their players, it's a big problem for me, and that is where I think Pep Guardiola need to do something very drastic, because we've seen it that ever since De Bruyne and Rodri was not in the Manchester City squad, Erling Braut Haaland, I find it very difficult to bang in the goals, because there's nobody giving him that assist. That
three matches now in no competition is unable to, of course, send the ball into the back of the net.
Yes, that is what I'm saying, because this midfielder that does the job for him, that gives him that seamless pass that helps him to slot in the ball behind the back of the net are not there. And you see him struggling. Yesterday, at some point, you see him dropping down deep inside the midfield to come and hustle for the ball, in quote. And it clearly tells you that indeed their midfield, there is something wrong with the midfield of Manchester City as it stands right now. But though that is not an excuse, because we know the caliber of coach that Pep Guardiola is, that he can still turn things around. Do one or two changes out there, and boom, before you know it, they will pick up from there. So for me, I think there is still time. We just played a few games. We still have about 30-something games to go.
Let's see what comes up. Will Arsenal, of course, be able to ride on this victory and execute other matches as well, this same gesture? And let's see how this one goes. Luton Town, they lost to Tottenham Hotspur by 1-0. Tottenham, of course, were a man down in that game, and they were able to take down Luton Town.
Very big point for them out there. Being down with a one man, they still hold their own to muscle all the 3 points away. Clearly tells you that for me this season, Tottenham seems to be that team that nobody is talking about. But I still think that they are in the fray for to be a title contender this season. They are already topping the league. They play one or two big teams out there. They were able to get the result from those big teams. So for me, I think Ange Postecoglou have transformed Tottenham in a way that people are surprised. Even nobody noticed the fact that Harry Kane, one of their mass man, is not in the team, because I think most time when you see all these big stars, in a team, they hardly give other upcoming players that avalanche of time to be able to make their statement. But whenever you see some of these players, big name in quote, leaving the club, other players come to play. They come to deliver the goods. So that is what we've seen of Tottenham. So for me, I strongly believe that if Tottenham Football Club can continue with this momentum, I strongly see them as a title contender this season, because one, they are not playing in any European competition. They are players who have all the whole time to rest during the midweek, while Champions League and Europa League is going on. They will have all their players intact, still resting, getting prepared for the next game. So I see them as a title contender this season.
Usually for Chelsea and their supporters over the weekend, as we saw a lot of goals coming in for them against Burnley, ended 4-1 in favor of Chelsea Football Club.
Massive one for them. They seem to have rediscovered their mojo, and they are finding their footings back into the game gradually. But I still think there is a whole lot of work for them to do. Though they came from behind, to take all 3 points. It clearly tells you there is a lot of improvement. They have played 3 straight games and won all 3. 2 in the EPL and 1 in the EFL Cup. So for me, I think it's a spike in confidence for them, Mauricio Pochettino and his boys. And I believe if they can continue in this goal scoring form, I see them, possibly moving up in the Premier League table from 11th position that they find themselves right now to maybe possibly 8 or 7 if we have 2 or 3 weeks. But having said that, there is a whole lot of work for them to do. Don't forget, their next game is against Arsenal. That is very hot this time around. That is going to be a litmus test for them. If they can be able to, get all 3 points, then we can truly beat our chest and say yes, Chelsea Football Club is back to reckoning.
Everton, they beat Bournemouth by 3-0. Fulham beat Sheffield United by 3-1. Manchester United were able to make a comeback against Brentford as they won 2-1. Crystal Palace played goalless against Nottingham Forest. Let's stay away from the Premier League as we bring you some of the results from the Spanish La Liga. Villarreal, of course, they lost to Las Palmas 2-1. Alaves played 1-1 draw against River Betis, and Celta Vigo played 2-2 against Getafe. Granada, they also played 2-2 draw against Barcelona. We saw a lot of draws in the Spanish La Liga over the weekend.
A lot of draws. So only Madrid were able to hold their own as a big team they are, and Jude Bellingham coming to the party to also, make a very strong statement. And for Barcelona, I think they have dropped 2 points and quite disappointing. But they had to rally around. One interesting aspect, they were down by 2 goals. Their opponent took the first, draw the first blood in 17 seconds. And one of the fastest goals, in short, the fastest goal this season in La Liga, 17 seconds that they took the lead. And it was 2-0 up to 40-something minutes before, Yamin Lamal, the young prodigy, came to, salvage the situation when he scored, the consolation goal in the first half. And the first half ended 2-1 in favor of the home team. But Barcelona came back into the game in second half thanks to, Roberto, who, scored the equalizer. And at the time where we thought maybe Barcelona would be able to make a complete comeback in that one, when João Felix scored what seems to be the winning goal, referee ruled it for an offside. So for me, I think Barcelona, looking at what they've been able to do this season, I still see them as a strong contender anyway.
And Real Madrid, of course, we told you, they beat Osasuna 4-1. Jude Bellingham, of course, getting his 10th goal out of 10 matches down there. Real Madrid played 1-1 draw against Valencia, as we saw Sevilla, they played 2-2 draw against Rayo Vallecano. And let's go Bilbao beat Almeria by 3-0. Let's bring you other fixtures from other league. Let's move down to the Italian Serie A, as we saw some impressive results coming from the Serie A. Monza, they beat Salernitana by 3-0. Frosinone beat Verona by 2-1. Lazio beat Atalanta by 3-2. Cagliari lost to Roma by 4-1. Romelu Lukaku getting a breeze in that encounter. Great one for his confidence, a great one for AS Roma, great one for Jose Mourinho, a coach who is very outspoken. He made a statement last week saying that he's going to make Lukaku one of the best striker in Italian Serie A. He's going to make Romelu Lukaku, the fans of AS Roma, to fall in love with Lukaku, and that is what he's doing presently. Great one for Romelu Lukaku. Great one for Romelu Lukaku. Napoli lost to Fiorentina. Things are not really going down well for Napoli this season, Michael. Very disappointing result at home, for that matter. 3-1. Yeah, though Victor Osimhen scored, what seems to be a consolation goal, which is a penalty. But for me, I think Napoli have struggled. And under this, their new coach, I'm afraid if they continue this way, I don't see them qualifying for the Champions League, honestly speaking, because this is not the Napoli that we saw last season. The coach seems not to be getting the best out of his player. Look at yesterday's game. I had to watch, Civica Kvaratskhelia, which is one of their best player in the last season, and Osimhen as well. I can't really see that quality. The coach is not able to bring out that quality in them. So for me, I think if they continue in this way, I don't see Napoli qualifying for the Champions League. The coach, talking about Garcia, need to do something as immediate as possible before he can
so that he can be able to remedy this situation.
Inter Milan played 2-2 against Bologna. Juventus beat Torino by 2-0. Girona lost to AC Milan by 1-0. Empoli played goalless against Udinese, and Lecce played 1-0 draw against Sassuolo. Let's bring you all the results from the French Ligue 1. Marseille beat La Havre by 3-0. Brest played 1-0 draw against Toulouse, and Lyon, of course, played a 2-0 draw against Lorient. ROC Lens played 1-0 draw against Lille. Rennes lost to Paris Saint-Germain by 3-1. Paris Saint-Germain bouncing back after that abysmal outing in the UEFA Champions League against Newcastle.
Very disappointing one in the midweek against Newcastle, but they had to bounce back, just like you said. I think it's a good one for them, but I see them struggling this season. They have not been able to find their rhythm, under the new coach. Talking about Luis Enrique, I think he still needs a whole lot of time to, be able to do good work, so that he can be able to gel all these players, so that they can give out their best. But I stand that they are not having a best of season. But again, lest I forget, in the Serie A, something spectacular happened between in the game between Girona and AC Milan. The two goalkeepers were actually red carded at a point where AC Milan were leading it at 80-something minutes 1-0, and the two goalkeepers were red carded. Oliver Giroud had to take up the stick. He had to take up the goalkeeping department for the remaining of the 10 minutes, and he made a very vital save that kept AC Milan on the game yesterday. So I think it's a great one, and eventually he was named man of the match.
And of course, Reims, they lost to Monaco by 3-1. Men's lost to Nice by 1-0. And Strasbourg, of course, they lost to Niels by 2-1 in that particular encounter. In the German Bundesliga, Bayern Leverkusen, they beat Cologne by 3-0. Bayern Munich, they beat Freiburg by 3-0. And Eintracht Frankfurt beat Heidenheim by 2-0. And we saw Borussia Dortmund, of course, they beat Union Berlin by 4-2. Augsburg, they lost to Darmstadt by 2-1. RB Leipzig played goalless against Bochum. Stuttgart, they beat Wolfsburg by 3-1. Werder Bremen, they lost to Hoffenheim by 3-2. Borussia Mönchengladbach played a 2-2 draw against Mainz. And talking about the German Bundesliga, Victor Boniface, of course, scored his seventh Bundesliga goal of the season as Bayer Leverkusen defeated Cologne by 3-0. This man, of course, is on fire at the moment. Talking about Victor Osimhen getting his seventh Bundesliga goal of the season.
Great one for him, and great one for Bayern Leverkusen. He's the third highest goal scorer presently as he stands, behind the Hurricane and forgotten the name of the other keeper. But it's very interesting to see that Victor Boniface is firing from all cylinders. I think it's a great one for Nigeria, and a great one for Pizarro, who we have selection headache in front of when you talk about the striking roles as it stands right now, because the likes of Victor Osimhen, Victor Boniface, Demola Lookman, they are all doing greatly in their different clubs. Are they? Not forgetting Ihan Achua as well, who is also firing from all cylinders at Leicester City rather. So for me, I think it's a great one for Nigeria.
All right, at this point, we'll call it a wrap, but we can't go without telling you that Max Verstappen, he is a sport extraordinaire on today's edition of the show. He won, just clinched his third consecutive Formula One title, and with that, of course, he is a sports extraordinaire owner of the show. Huge thanks to Michael, of course, for putting up an incisive analysis on the show this evening.
Always a pleasure doing this with you.
Don't forget, peace and unity was the pathways to progress. My name is Kinsley Manuel. Thanks for watching.